Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here today on the weekend. It's the TNAM AM Show. Oh, how about I do a proper intro, shall we? Yes, we do appear to be streaming on
Hello, everybody.
Facebook now. That's great. Let me share this to the groups. The Unhappy Hour, the Agree to Disagree Show, TNAM Humor, TNAM Fake News, TNAM Browns, TNAM Buckeyes, TNAM Preparedness. Let's say I am live discussing the NFL draft and the news. Join us. All right, I'm sharing to all the places. Let's get it going today. Hello, everyone out there. Oh, what a great day. The TNAM AM Show. Put that logo up. Kablamo. Let's put this in the other corner. In that corner. There we go. And let's begin. Broadcasting to you live from the Orion spiral arm of the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, somewhere near the state of Ohio, where my Cleveland Browns have been participating in the NFL draft. Today is Saturday, April 26th, 2025. My name is Brian Engelman. This is the TNAM AM Show here on the New American Media. We are going to discuss some of the NFL draft. Let's just jump into the NFL draft because my team is actually just about ready to be on the clock. We did 2 marathon, like 4.5 hour long episodes the last 2 days for the Unhappy Hour Sports Show. By the way, everybody out there, if you are a sports fan, if you want to support independent content creators, these are wooden coasters, $30 a set or both sets for $50, shipping included. I mean, it's a really good deal. Ohio made wood etched, laser burned, Ohio product, thick. This one's shaped like the state of Ohio. This one is circular for your beverages. And then there's also the Unhappy Hour Sports Show pin inside of that. So if you shoot me a Venmo, here, let me put it on the screen. Captions. TNAM donation links at the bottom of the screen. If you shoot me a Venmo at Brian Engelman, one set of these is $30. Just put your address and say circle, or put your address and say circle shape, Ohio shaped coasters, and I'll mail those out to you. Or all of these for $75. $25 for the pin on its own. That includes shipping. So if you want to support independent content creators covering sports and also covering the news, this is a way to do it through Venmo. 30 a set, 50 for the pair, 75 for everything, including the pin, 25 for just the pin. All right. So we did 4.5 hour shows, 9 hours of broadcasting in the last 2 days. Special thanks to Sal. Sal was crushing it with me. I'm sorry. Did the Browns just take another running back? We took another running back. What are we doing? No more Nick Chubb? Let me go to the big board. D. Sampson. Dylan Sampson, running back. So we have 2 running backs in Cleveland now. 1,400 yards last year, 22 touchdowns, 5.8 average. He's 5'11", 201 pounds. We're going to pair him up with Quinshawn Judkins from Ohio State. Oh, those are some dynamic backs now. I'd like to see us draft some offensive line because these backs are only going to be as good as that line is blocking. But all right. All right. I didn't have this on my bingo board, but I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. How's your favorite team doing? Look, David Bann, hello, everybody. On the side of the screen here, let me pull up the chats over here. Type your comments. However you're watching, type your name and say hello, please. And join us in the conversation. While I'm talking, I'm reading the stuff that you're saying, and we're discussing all of it. So let's go back to the draft real quick. I'll give you an update on what's going on here, and then we'll get to the news. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this sports stuff. Like I said, 9 hours on the world of sports over the last 2 nights. We've sort of covered the storylines. I believe Shedeur Sanders is still out there, though. Let me triple check. Yeah, it looks like Shedeur Sanders is still out there. Brown's next pick is going to be, well, nothing in round 4. What is the deal in round 5 with the Browns? Nothing in the front half. 1 pick at number 166, the 30th overall. Okay, so that'll be our next pick. We got we got 2 running backs. We got a double running back situation in Cleveland now. Also, Jerome Ford and Nick Chubb is still there. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why we don't sign Nick Chubb. Was he really that degraded? Give him a chance to come back year 2 from that injury. Yeah, without going into all the specific picks. Let me go back to round 4. Yeah, some running backs coming off the board now. Tootin to Jacksonville, Scattaboo to New York Giants. They've retooled now. They've got Jackson Dart and Cam Scattaboo. Titans took Chamari Dyke. Dante Thornton Jr. goes wide receiver from Tennessee over to the Raiders. Arian Smith, wide receiver from Georgia, goes to the New York Jets. Etienne, running back out of Georgia, going to the Panthers. Cody Simon, linebacker, Ohio State, going to the Cardinals. Woody Marks, running back, USC, going to the Texans. Another running back, Hunter. Jarquez Hunter, running back, Auburn, going to the Rams. Lathan Ransom going to the Buckeyes. I'm sorry, from the Buckeyes going to the Carolina Panthers. Jack Sawyer, this is my least favorite pick of the day. Why didn't the Browns get this guy? Edge rusher, Jack Sawyer, the Ohio State University, getting drafted 123 overall to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Doggone it. Now we got to see him on the other side. Jalen Lane, wide receiver, going to the Commanders to give Jaden Daniels some more firepower. But yeah, the Browns have taken 2 running backs now, Dylan Sampson and Quinshon Judkins. All right. We are changing our team around. And I really do think this signals the end of the time in Cleveland for Nick Chubb. We'll see. You know how injuries are, and you know how depth charts can be. But yeah, we're still waiting for someone to take Shedeur Sanders. So anyway, barring any new news, and I will probably check back from time to time to take a look at that story, we will bounce through the things happening in the world. It's going to be a lightning round type of show today. Eric Daughtry saying the FBI has now arrested 2 activist judges for facilitating the invasion of our nation by illegal aliens in 24 hours. It's a bad day to be a criminal in America. So yeah, you want to see the arrests? Hey, guess what? A couple arrests. What do you know? A little bit of action. Here, let me change the captions at the bottom to all the places you can find the New American Media. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit the thumbs up, hit the hearts button. However you're watching us, connect with the show, leave your comments. drop some questions, tell some jokes. It helps the algorithm. It pushes our content up in the rankings. So your participation helps us. It is pennies in the wishing well of reach. Your contribution pedals the bicycle chain that spins the wheel that moves it in that direction. So the places to find the New American Media are on Instagram, Facebook, Truth Social, Rumble, Odyssey, Twitch, Kick, DLive, and YouTube. Search the New American Media. We're on Telegram and Signal at TNAM and TNAM Chat, on X at American_Media_. And all these are scrolling at the bottom of the screen. By the way, please take a second to create some accounts on some of these other sites. They're free. They just take a minute. Just get set up over there and follow our page. If that's all you do, just keep an account open. It's good to have multiple modes of communication, because during COVID, during 2020, when Biden got 81 million totally legitimate votes, we were silenced repeatedly. So if you don't want to be silenced, if you don't want to risk being unable to find us in the future, connect with us on some other sites, please, especially Rumble and X. All right. And yes, for countervailing views on health and elections, go to cdc.gov, who.int, and visit cisa.gov/rumor control. For countervailing views on all things, go to those sites. All right. Scrolling at the bottom. You're an adult. You know how to do that. But I say these things under duress. But arrests are happening. We're going to expand on that more in a second here. Here's a reminder. The reason Democrat judges, this is the Amuse account, the reason Democrat judges are fighting so hard to keep illegals, even the criminal aliens, is all about control of the House. If illegals were removed or not counted for apportionment, Democrats would lose 10 seats in the House, giving the GOP a 27-seat advantage. But this is the way. Oh, that's a good question of the day. Yeah, how about we do that? Do you agree or disagree? Do you agree or disagree that we're going to be restoring our voting rights by removing illegal alien influence on our electoral process? That this is the way we're going to restore voting rights, by taking the illegal alien influence out of the electoral process. Agree or disagree? Yeah, hopefully things really pick up with the indictments. I agree with that 100%. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Come on. No wasted time. This administration has been rewriting what it means to show no wasted time. However, some other things feel like they're taking excruciatingly long. That 3 months is plenty of time to get the ball rolling on what we need here. Because without the punitive measures to stop this from happening, it's going to keep happening. It'll happen today and tomorrow and next week, and we're sick of it happening. It's poison. It's dumping poison into our country. What's it that I'm talking about? The corruption and the framing, the lies and the setup jobs that are being done, whether it's Trump or Bolsonaro or Poliver or Georgescu. Go around the globe, look in your backyard. They are going after the politicians who are trying to make life better for the people who live in that country. Guys, you can only loot a nation so far until it figures out that it's been looted and they can't get by easily anymore. You've killed the goose that lays the golden egg when you reach that point. This is the natural order of things. You cannot take more than this. The line in the sand has been crossed. Did it happen the last week? Did it happen when they took out Kennedy? Did it happen 1913? Did it happen in the War of 1812? Did it happen in 1781, 1776? What are we talking about? But we're here today, and there's an energy that's trying to overthrow every sovereign nation, and it has to be addressed. It has to be called out. It has to be resisted. And thankfully, That is the strategy. That is the game plan of the people who currently have the power. So while you have the power, go faster, move faster with the indictments. David says, if things go back to normal voting, the Democrats will not win in a long time. They will never win again. I don't think they're really winning today. And I'm allowed to have that opinion. For whatever multitude of reasons, I hold near and dear to my belief system. My lack of evidence doesn't make it false. My lack of evidence doesn't make it false. Anyway, yeah, I keep hearing rumors that maybe we're going to do another, like a snap census to make sure you have to prove who you are to be counted. And then we're going to drastically take the power and control away from these places that have theoretical citizens that are not citizens that should not be participating in the census. And when Congress is given different seats based on population, I mean, it becomes obvious why so many people fled the blue cities and blue states when they did, and why they went to red cities and red states, or red states, not a lot of red cities, I guess. But the cities are the problem. Like, they need the focus. The cities have to be reconquered with the voting system. You can deliver ballots and count a ballot for days. You can. Is there a counting device that's connected to the internet, even though it's not supposed to be? Anybody could press a button and flip things. The way things are being done now, it's not trustworthy. If you can reclaim the cities, you can reclaim your country. And maybe you do that through the census and through the voting. What do they call it? Not the Real ID, the SAVE Act. So if the SAVE Act is in, you'll actually have to prove who you are, and watch the numbers drop. I don't think the Democrats have more than 20% support, 25% max in this country. They're just loud, they're organized, they're well-funded. But you realize they're being funded because they're reaching into your back pocket, stealing your money to fund their friends, to pump out drivel all day long. Going, am I living in a cuckoo clock? Why are these voices being amplified? Why is the common sense approach being vilified? No, you're not in a cuckoo clock. You're just paying attention. You're a noticer of things. You're observant of the scenario around you. Heaven forbid. That's why they keep us so distracted looking into our phones. We don't even notice what's being sprayed into the skies. Remember when you were called crazy for discussing that topic? Yeah, we were never crazy for noticing the obvious. So we told you about this story. This is from the Gateway Pundit. So this attorney in Minnesota who let a Democrat state worker walk after keying Teslas now charges a young woman for a similar crime. So if you're connected and you're a Democrat, you'll get off. You won't get charged. I don't know, maybe we'll make some restitution, some community service, but you're not going to get charged. That wouldn't be good for society. All but giving a green light to say you can keep doing this. You don't have to face any repercussions here. We're not going to protect Tesla owners. We're not going to protect Elon Musk and that company, Tesla. We're putting a green light to say, do more of this. You'll be fine. By the way, start a GoFundMe. Maybe you'll get it. By the way, I'm just speculating here, but this is how it works. By the way, start a GoFundMe. Put a GoFundMe up for being politically targeted. Let's see if I can raise $100,000 of hush money to just kind of like, hey, good job, buddy. Pat on the back. Let's keep it going. All I said is you got to make them right. So there's 20 grand. Here, pay the thing. Here's 80 grand for your hassle. Do it again. That's what she's given a green light to. But now she's being accused of charging a young woman for a very similar crime. And you got to wonder what's going on with the judiciary. How do you fix the rogue justice system in the United States? I don't know if it can be fixed. But guess what? Now we're all looking at it and saying there is no justice in America if this is what's going on. If you're out there causing chaos and you happen to be politically aligned with me, you get a pass. Normal people, yeah, we'll throw the book at you, but do this for me and I'll do something for you. Quid pro quo stuff. Benny Johnson saying 2 judges are down in the past 24 hours. Keep it coming. This is what I voted for. So we're exposing this. In the meantime, there have been 2 arrests. Let's see if the text just says, let's go. What's the second panel? Activist.
Anything to say about this?
Anna Dugan leaving the courthouse for attorney after being arrested by the FBI this morning, interfering with the license. She had nothing to say.
Judge.
After they were exposed for harboring and threatening Iran with terrorists in their homes. The rest. There's the fighting sources ready guns. How many judges are in on it? How many judges are as corrupt, if not more corrupt, than the politicians? Oh, it's high time. Yeah, I'm gonna type that. It's high time that we remove the corrupt activist judges. Didn't realize things were this bad, but guess they are. Let's talk about the media. Do you hate them? Well, maybe you could. Maybe you should, because they hate you.
According to Newsbusters, from April 1st to the 23rd, ABC, CBS, and NBC devoted 143 minutes to the Maryland dad.
Maryland dad. 143 minutes. Why do certain stories explode on social media? Oh, everybody's instantly talking about it. Everybody's sharing it. Everybody's seeing the clips. Everybody's cranking out more content about this. More airtime for what we deem to be worthy. What we deem to be important. That's how they shape the narrative. That's how they do their Operation Mockingbird. That's how they shift the Overton window. That's how they push their agenda. That's why Jeff Bezos got involved with a printing company, with a newspaper. You want to control things. And by the way, let's be honest. Elon wanting to do Neuralink. You want to know how people think? Leave an open platform together and just soak up the data and then gather it and figure out how you put it in your brain. And you already know how people work, how they think, how they respond to certain stories, how they react. You're training AI by using this network. You own the network. Part of the terms of service are like, hey, we're going to use this information to learn about our user base. Yeah, they got Neuralink. They want to put stuff in your brain. I know where we're headed with this stuff. I'm not saying it's all good or all bad. But if you control the narrative, you're going to get more of what you want. And I want more sanity. So let's take a look at 143 minutes of Maryland dad coverage versus a story that should have been wall-to-wall coverage, outrage, anger at the Democrats, anger at the Biden, Obama, Harris, Mayorkas, Garland, just the whole plan, the Obama doctrine that we've seen for 16 of the last 20 years. Look at how much coverage, 143 minutes for Maryland dad, compared to a story that should have been everywhere.
Yeah, the dirtbag's face was on those networks more than William Devane is on ours. Meanwhile, during that same time period, another illegal immigrant case, the trial and conviction of the murderer of Rachel Morin, got only 12 seconds of coverage. 12 seconds.
How do you even do that?
That's enough to make love to Jesse Waters. Twice. But yeah, when it came to choosing to cover the alleged gang member getting deported or an innocent woman's killer going down for murder, the networks made the choice, and it wasn't even close.
Mother of 5. Destroyed by an illegal alien that should have failed a criminal background check, but instead was snuck into this country by Obama, Biden, Harris, Mayorkas, Garland, Susan Rice, the whole team. I don't understand why we can't hold that party criminally responsible for the loss of life, to be sued for their actions. Lake and Riley, go down the list of this Obama doctrine migrant crime perpetrated by Biden, Harris, and the Democrat Party. Chaos everywhere they go. They leave sorrow in their wake. Democrats destroy. This story should have been everywhere. I don't get why all the coverage was on the other side, except to slow Trump down. That's what the game plan is. Slow him down, wait him out. We'll try another impeachment. We'll try another hoax. We'll try another. Let's just slow him down. How about let's just get things fixed, because we haven't seen a lot of stuff getting fixed in a long time. In property management, that's called deferred maintenance. When I joined a homeowners association as a first-time place owner, the place was in disrepair. There were a million problems with the home, with the building, with the property, with the community. So we got involved, we put a plan together, and we started fixing stuff. We're finally fixing some stuff in government. Doge finally running an audit. How many 115 plus year old people were actually on the voter rolls? Come on now. We finally ran an audit, like maybe in the first time forever. So Doge, no, it's not a failure that you didn't reach your $1 trillion of savings. It's thank God we ran our first audit ever. By the way, what are we doing at Fort Knox? We're just giving them time to reload all that. Here's the deal, though, with Fort Knox. It's not good enough. Everything needs to be melted. Every single bar needs to have a remelt. What do they call it? Smelting? A melt and smelt? Melt the bars down. Pour them into like new MAGA trays that'll say MAGA 2025. Give them an individual barcode number. I don't know if there's a way to cleverly work it into the blockchain. I have no idea if that's even a thing, but wouldn't that be interesting if you could always chart that bar? That specific bar will always exist on the blockchain. Every transaction should happen through some sort of tracking mechanism. How interesting would that be? But yeah, we're finally fixing a few things, but we have a lot more to fix. So I'll take it. And stopping monsters from killing American mothers of 5, that's where you start. Spare me the tears for the human smuggler. Spare me the tears for the spousal abuser. Spare me the tears for the MS-13 member. How about a little bit of attention for the mother of 5, the American that was snuffed out by an illegal alien invader allowed in through the Obama doctrine? So yeah, 143 minutes for the human trafficker, 12 seconds for the victim.
More
By the way, these are different cases. They're shown together for contrast, different cases. He didn't kill her.
evidence the media hates Americans more than I hate high shelves. Here's that 12 seconds of Rachel Morin's case.
Late today, the White House highlighting the story of Patty Morin, whose daughter Rachel was killed by an undocumented immigrant.
Illegal alien invader.
These are the kind of criminals President Trump wants to remove from our country.
Other than that, Rachel's mom calling out Senator Van Hollen in front of the White House press court didn't get picked up by the networks. Instead, they salivated over Van Hollen's jaunt to El Salvador to push the sympathy card for Garcia. According to Newsbusters, from April 1st to the 23rd, ABC, CBS, and NBC devoted 143
Is this the same exact clip? Hold on.
minutes to the Maryland dad.
Yeah, same clip now.
Yeah, the dirtbag's face was on those networks more than William Devane is on ours.
Okay. Yeah, the media hates Americans more than I hate high shelves. Tom Homan's asking people to hang tight. Take a listen. Illegals. 2 judges arrested for aiding and abetting illegals in the last day.
On the books that make it a criminal offense to shield or harbor illegal immigrants, like the sanctuary states that you leaders have been doing. Do you think they should be prosecuted, the fullest extent of the law, and possibly put in prison?
Absolutely. And hold tight on that one. Because it's coming. It's coming. I've been clear on that since day one.
There are laws on the books that make it a criminal.
Okay, well, I guess there wasn't too much in this clip, but yeah, he said, hang tight. And now 2 judges arrested by ICE for aiding and abetting illegals in the last 24 hours. Charlie Kirk saying that Harvard has... hold on. Let me change the screen size. Harvard University has raked in more than $1.1 billion from foreign sources in the past 8 years. Over 100 million of that is from China alone. At least one Harvard professor has already been caught illegally hiding the money he received from China while handling sensitive research for the U.S. Oh, like a traitor, like a spy. We need to ask serious questions in this country about whether we can trust our elite universities to put America first when so much money is flowing to them from America's #1 rival. That is very important. University under review for inaccurate foreign funding disclosures raked in millions of dollars from China. That's an excellent point. Marjorie Taylor Greene says the language of our founding fathers. Can I go side by side? Nope. Language of our founding fathers was English. The language of our Constitution is English. The language of the American people is English. One nation, one language, one identity. My English Language Unity Act protects our national unity, defends our sovereignty, and preserves the American way of life. President Trump endorsed my bill. Now Congress must get it passed so he can sign it into law. English is the way. Button. Yeah, everybody needs to be able to communicate. I'm watching the NFL draft here. Let me click over, see if Shadur Sanders has been taken yet. Buchanan, Moore, Riley out of Louisville, Hippolyte, Royals, a wide receiver to the Chiefs. Robinson and edge, Hemingway. Nope, still no Shadur Sanders into round 4. Actually, getting out of round 4. Is Will Howard still on the board? Okay. We will check back. But in the NFL, you're going to get drafted to a team. You're going to be given a playbook. And you're going to be expected to learn the language. This isn't rocket science. Everybody on the team needs to speak the same language, or else you can't compete, you can't communicate, you can't do your job. You're not helpful to anyone if you're not speaking the same language. So yeah, 100% behind this. You have to learn the playbook. You want to succeed here, you got to be able to read the road signs. You have to be able to articulate how you're thinking and feeling. Those are the rules here. Like that's what we're doing. If you go to Mexico, the signs are in Spanish. You'll speak in Spanish. It's very helpful if you can speak Spanish. I estudiod español en escuela para 13 y medio años. Conozco así, más o menos, poquito, palabras. I can speak blurts and little phrases and words, and entiendo poquito. I can understand a little bit. It's helpful. But if you're going to move somewhere, you got to learn the language. You got to learn the playbook when you sign with a new team, or else you can't compete on that team. So this is the way. Virginia Guthrie, one of Jeffrey Epstein's most prominent abuse survivors, has allegedly taken their own. And then there was a post here. I am making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and general practitioner. If something happens to me, in the sake of my family, do not let this go away and help me to protect them. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. Tweet was from 6 years ago. And they put here a picture of the Clintons. Prince Andrew right there in that photo. Ghislaine Maxwell. So Danielle Marie says, let me get this straight. Virginia Giuffre, the woman who accused the late convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew of abuse during, then they took themselves out after surviving a car crash that almost offed her 2 months ago. Sure, Jan. Sure. I'm going to do a sure button. All right.
And just
Department of Justice cracking down on radical judges. Kayleigh McEnany.
24 hours, 2 judges arrested by the Trump administration. Now, you have a New Mexico judge who allegedly harbored a Tren de Aragua gang member in his home. And a Wisconsin judge, she's accused of facilitating the dramatic courtroom escape of an illegal immigrant with criminal charges.
They like gave him a secret passage out the back door so they could escape from the building. She thought she was going to get away with that. That is how out of control our legal system is. This lady thought she could take someone who was going to get arrested, personally sneak them out the back entrance to escape the legal system and get away with it. I'm seeing libertarians. I told you, Trump is going after the judges now. Watch out. Watch out. Watch out. The judge should have watched out. If my understanding of the details of this case are accurate, my libertarian friends are just perpetually broken. They will spend every moment that they have a chance to offer their superior intellect. I'm saying some of this facetiously, some of this sarcastically, but honestly, some of this legitimately. Libertarian minds get a lot of the big things right. Get a couple of the big things wrong. They're generally sharp people, sort of. I really, in general, probably the smarter of the 3 groups: Republican, Democrat, and Libertarian. Too smart for their own good, maybe. Like they overthink it. Maybe there's a little bit of them overthinking things. But the libertarians that just want to talk about Kilmar. Oh my gosh, the world is ending. I told you Trump's a dictator. Huh? 30 million people have been dumped in this country. You have to move fast while you have the House, the Senate, the presidency. You have to undo this stuff, clear out the entire dance floor, send everyone out the back door. Everyone goes to the front door, show your ID, pay your cover charge. We're going to run our background check. You can come back in if that's what we're going to do. But everyone has to go. You snuck in. There's too many people without wristbands in the club. Everybody out, turn the music off, lights up, everyone out. I've done this as a concert promoter because people sneak into the club with their boyfriends or their girlfriends with their band. Libertarians just, oh my gosh, if everything isn't 100% perfect, I can't get behind it. We got a long way to go to fix this country. But you know what? Getting rid of this judge is not something you should plant a flag in and start sounding the alarms. They sound 100% guilty. If we have the story correct, this person was acting as invincible as Barack Hussein Obama and Joseph Biden, Robinette Biden.
This was truly horrific. This guy was in court.
This is Pam Bondi. So the illegal was in court,
being prosecuted by a state prosecutor for domestic violence battery. He had beat up 2 people, a guy and a girl, hit the guy 30 times, knocked him to the ground, choked him, beat up a woman so badly they both had to go to the hospital. And John, you know, it's so rare for victims to want to cooperate. They wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom.
This was not somebody that walked in and grabbed a sandwich off the shelf at the 7-Eleven and was like, oh my gosh, I was so hungry. I'm sorry. I just didn't have any money. I needed to eat something or grabbed a drink. And I'm just so thirsty. I'm in such a bad spot. This was not the most minor of infractions. You are curb stomping and choking people. Multiple people you send 2 people to the hospital. This isn't libertarians. Shut up. You got to sit down and sit this one out. If your reaction to arresting this judge who absolutely, if these charges are accurate, everyone deserves their defense. If this is what actually happened, you libertarians, I don't even know how to say how disappointed I am. This is a violent monster that needs to go. And this judge, let's listen to the rest of the accusation.
With the state prosecutor, the judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013.
This is a previously deported piece of garbage. He was told, get out of here once before. He was already kicked out of the nightclub once. And he snuck back in. He was kicked out of the nightclub once before, and he snuck back in.
Came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out, she goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom, you're not going to believe this, takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out a private exit and tells them to leave. While a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
Now think about this. These victims were just sitting there as the judge was allegedly helping to get their alleged batterer, a Wisconsin man, as the media would say, and an illegal immigrant, Eduardo Flores Ruiz, out of a private entrance. Now, our producers here at the Ingram Angle, who are incredible, got their hands on this arrest report of Ruiz's, and it verifies Pam Bondi's account. Now, the report says Ruiz got in a fight with a man and a woman over loud music. Ruiz allegedly struck and scratched the man multiple times on his body and face, and he, quote, put his hand around the victim's neck, impeding his ability to breathe for 6 seconds. He then goes after the woman, allegedly, and hits her in the head multiple times. And then there was a third person, another woman, who also says she was hit. Ruiz allegedly elbowed her. He was later arrested in the Family Dollar parking lot. So all of that happened. That's why this individual was in criminal court. But the mayor of Milwaukee tells us the Trump administration is threatening public safety, not Mr. Ruiz.
They're not going to participate in court cases if they fear being swept up in immigration enforcement.
Are you following all of this? This is a system that does not make sense.
That's exactly the groundwork that the Trump administration has laid here in what is quite evidently an attempt to showboat. And it's unfortunate. I think it makes our community less safe.
And as expected, Democrats in Washington, they just echoed the mayor.
This morning, the Trump administration's FBI, headed by Kash Patel, arrested a Wisconsin judge for simply standing up for the rights of immigrants.
For simply standing up for the rights of immigrants? Oh, that is so disingenuous.
We need to demand the release of this judge and have due process and the rule of law.
Senator Dick Durbin chimed in. He accused the Trump administration of, quote, testing the limits of our Constitution, this time by arresting a sitting judge for allegedly obstructing an immigration operation at the courthouse. Where's his concern about the violent illegal immigrant?
This is nutty.
And Senator Tina Smith added, quote, understand what this is. If Kash Patel and Donald Trump don't like a judge, they think that they could just arrest them.
There you go. That is the shit take that my libertarian friend put out yesterday, and I didn't even engage with it. Like I'm just going, imagine taking the MSNBC talking point as if it's accurate and running with it. They have such a low batting average. Wouldn't you do a little extra looking around before you defend it? Kind of disappointed, really.
This is stunning. We must stand up to this blatant power grab. Republicans, how is this not a red line for you? But wait, I thought these same 3 Democrats told us that no one was above the law.
Oh.
No American is above the rule of law. The same rules apply to everyone.
We are all committed to the rule.
Oh, Dick Durbin is, he's been implicated, hasn't he? The stories are swirling about Dick Durbin and Epstein.
Law, and no one in this country is above the law.
The very basic fabric of our democracy, which is that no person is above the law.
So Trump's not above the law, but the aiding and abetting judge is. All right, well, joining me now.
I guess I'm appreciative that we have more details about this story quicker than we did about Kilmar. Guy has the word kill in his name. But the details of that, it took a couple weeks to come out. Okay, he's arrested in a van full of 8 people with no luggage. He's in Tennessee. Everybody says they're staying with him. They're using his address as a home. He's doing human smuggling, is the accusation. The vehicle was registered to somebody who was arrested for human smuggling. That's who Kilmar is, but it took a week or 2 for that information to come out. You know, look, the track stabbing, look across the country, find a couple court cases that have your interest. Luigi, there's stuff we don't know about the case. Like it would probably be smart that we don't claim to have every opinion right off the bat because we couldn't possibly have all the details. We're unpacking it together, trying to figure out what is most likely to be accurate. That's what we do here on the TNAM AM Show, here on the New American Media. Get our podcast. It's called the Agree to Disagree Show. It will include the TNAM AM Show.
Now is Paul Morrow, Fox News contributor and former NYPD inspector, and Buck Sexton, co-host of the Clay and Buck Show. Buck, let's start with this. I want to bring up the charges that this criminal illegal immigrant was in court for. We have them here, straight from page 3 of the complaint. He was charged with battery, domestic abuse, infliction of physical pain and injury, and he was removed from the country in 2013.
He got kicked out of the nightclub and he came back again.
And then came back. So this is an illegal immigrant.
And by the way, he didn't go through the front door, show his ID, and pay the cover charge. He snuck in again.
Who came across our border twice, and the judge helps him get out the back door?
Yeah, Kaylee, re-entry after deportation is actually a felony, so it's a more serious crime to enter illegally the second time. And I think that what you're seeing here is what should be happening across the country, which is finally taking to task these Democrats, these open borders, radical leftists, all throughout, unfortunately, the judiciary and throughout the federal government, the bureaucracy. Everybody who thinks the law doesn't count needs to be put on notice that it does, and especially when it comes to the Trump administration's immigration efforts. It's funny, about 15 years ago, I was a CIA analyst who was assigned to the NYPD intelligence division for a year, working for a fabulous manager, at the time, Captain, later Inspector Morrow. So it's funny, Kayla, you have us on at the same time. It's a bit of a reunion for 2 guys who worked in law enforcement. I learned a lot from then Captain, later Inspector Morrow. Good to see you, sir. But I would just say this. The notion that what we were doing, which was terrorism, where you wouldn't have federal, state, and local all working together, was insane. But on immigration, all of a sudden, state and local are supposed to stymie and even obstruct federal enforcement efforts. It's completely beyond the pale. And
just the concept of being able to block immigrations and customs from doing what needs to be done and trying to run opposition to that and declaring yourself a sanctuary, in what universe does that make any sense? Why wouldn't you filter out the poison before you drink a glass of water? Why would you do that? You don't want
It's time the administration does exactly what they're doing, which is hold people accountable.
You know, Paul, I want to ask you this. Page 4 of the complaint says this. I am aware that law enforcement, this is a white collar guy who is testifying about the judge letting this guy out the back door, said, I am aware that law enforcement routinely executes warrants and makes arrests in the public areas of the building, such as the Milwaukee County Courthouse. So it's not aberrational for ICE to show up at a criminal court hearing to engage in enforcement action.
Yeah, what's aberrational here is that the judge tried to abet the absconding of the perp, resulting in a foot pursuit on the street outside the courthouse, during which somebody could have gotten hurt.
Somebody could have absolutely gotten hurt. You don't take the most dangerous route as a smart play. That person could have said, I'm never going back to jail again, and taken a hostage. Could have done way worse. You never know what could have happened. I saw a video where someone was getting arrested. They were in the elevator and the guy took off and bulldozed over somebody else as they were getting tackled. Yeah, you end up hurting innocent bystanders, which is garbage.
And God forbid this perp ran into, let's say, a pregnant woman or something like that. All you'd be hearing about is, oh my God, the Trump administration doesn't care about babies. Let me tell you what's going on here operationally. It's very hard to track these guys. You know, the Trump administration has said the worst first, right? So they got to find them. That's the issue. And they're very mobile. You've heard the stories about TDA being in Aurora, then they're in New York, then the guy goes down to Austin, et cetera, et cetera. So to find them, one of the ways you find them is when they pop in the computer as being under arrest at the state level. The fact that they're in custody and you can put them on a dime from their court appearance is vital to be able to catch up to them. But obviously, in these sanctuary, Wisconsin, by the way, Milwaukee, excuse me, is not a sanctuary city, which surprises me. But nonetheless, it's the same. It's the same MO, which is just, we don't want you arresting these guys. Their knee jerk is to protect these guys, and we should recognize that as the Trump administration does battle with the universities and the Ivies that are so hyper left, what people are overlooking are the law schools. The law school. We're a nation of laws. That means the lawyers and the judges, they got the rule book, and they are hyper left. If any, they make, in many instances, the colleges look conservative.
Making the colleges look conservative. And it's weird when you think about the Supreme Court. There are justices, Sotomayor and, oh, geez, what's her name? What is it? Kagan and Ketanji Brown Jackson. It's almost like you always know what they're going to do. You always know what lying legacy media is going to do. But then it's like the other side sometimes goes with the deep state and sometimes goes with sanity. You don't see them dip into sanity very often, do you? It's interesting how that works. Anyway, that's a long report. I'm not going to keep going, but check out the full report there on Fox. Liberal CNN guest makes a shocking claim about the judge arrested by the FBI.
Judge is in a difficult position now. What do we know about what her plans are to try to fight back against this, and what the administration's next moves are?
Well, they have a case, and that case is going to go on in court. She hasn't entered a pleading yet. She was released after appearance. But one of the things that I think should really be highlighted here is not, I mean, the case against the judge, it's unusual, but it's not unprecedented. There has been a case like this before in 2019 during the first Trump administration, charging a judge in Massachusetts who was accused of something very similar, trying to usher someone out of that courtroom as ICE officials were waiting for that defendant. In that case, that ended up being resolved. Those charges were dropped in the Biden administration against that judge in Massachusetts, but she ended up cutting a deal. So it was a legitimate case there as well.
Judge is in a difficult position.
A legitimate case there as well. Hey, did you hear this one? That men are avoiding colleges because the teachers and the culture is left wing. Have you heard this one yet?
know at this point, at this day and age, that college is a scam. So why would I'm 23, I never went to college. Why would I want to go and sit there and be lectured by a guy who is anti-Christian, anti-masculinity, and anti-white people for 4 years and then give him my money and go into debt? I think a lot of guys are very smart in avoiding this, and many guys are actually choosing to opt in for trade schools. I have a friend of mine who's doing his apprenticeship as an HVAC technician right now, doing AC, and he's making more money than the girl who just graduated college with her bachelor's in business, marketing or something like that, which even that would be considered a more useful degree. My dad just filmed a movie where his co-star, this young woman, had just graduated college or was just entering her junior or senior year of college, and he asked her what she was studying, and she goes, gender studies. And he goes, here you go, male and female, congratulations, you've passed, and now you're $80,000 into debt. So you have these people with these useless degrees. There's no reason, or there's no wonder why these guys are opting out of it, because it's a waste of time. 99% of the time it's pointless unless you want to become a lawyer or a doctor. I really don't see a benefit in college. And even then, some states will allow you to take the bar without actually going to law school for it. My aunt knew someone, because she's a lawyer, knew someone who did just that, and he's one of the best lawyers in the state of Florida. And so we have this kind of idea still ingrained in our minds that school is necessary, when in reality it's really not. We go into debt and spend decades of our time trying to pay it back. I mean, the median college graduate salary in 1959 was $10,000. If you make up for inflation, that is over, I think, $80,000 today. Whereas today, the median average graduation is $60,000. That doesn't keep up for inflation, especially when you account for how much money is worthless now, right? It doesn't cost the same to rent an apartment now as it did 40, 50 years ago. It doesn't cost the same to buy groceries or a car or a house 40, 50, 60 years ago, right? So we're not keeping up with inflation with college, and a lot of guys are looking at that statistic and going, oh,
yeah, like what type of investment is that going to be? How is that a wise return on my money?
Okay, well then maybe I should find something else to do that isn't going to put me in massive amounts of crippling debt. No.
And when I went to college, I did not end up in massive crippling debt. I worked my way through. I worked a lot. I saved a lot. I had a little help from my grandparents for the first year. And then I made payments for many, many, many years till I paid it off. But I went to the cheapest state school. Would I encourage going to school today? I don't know if I could. I really don't think I could. David Band saying that the criminal judges, the only way to stop them is to arrest them. I concur. Being Libertarian shares this. Rand Paul has called for the Federal Reserve to be audited. I imagine when Americans find out what really goes on behind closed doors there, they will be on board to end the Fed. Trump should push this immediately to find out what Powell is up to. I'll put an agree button. How many of these judges are connected to the cartel? This is Ben Berkwam.
What did you think when you heard these stories of these two judges, with all of the victims you've talked to of illegal alien activity, with all the work the Border Patrol does on the border? What goes through your mind?
Well, thank God it's about time. And I've got sources inside the administration we're talking to that say this is just the beginning. There's going to be many more. So that is a breath of fresh air for the American people. These are the guys that have been aiding and abetting. And think about this, Grant. These are the judges that were dismissing without prejudice all of the immigration cases, over 1 million in 1 year. They dismissed these illegal aliens basically to let them go into our country scot-free and eventually get citizenship. The biggest question I have is to find out how many of them not just are harboring, not just are protecting. They think that they're going to get away with it. They think they might get a slap on the wrist. But how many of them are directly tied to the cartels or tied to some other foreign entity that's been paying them? That's where we really need to send the investigations. And I really hope Pam Bondi and Kash Patel and the rest of them are doing that. I have no doubt, again, in hearing some of what I'm hearing in the back channels, that more is coming. And again, just speaking on behalf of the American people, it's about time.
And what
more is, hey, did you hear that, David? More is coming. Sounds like trust the plan, but like, come on, everything is in place. They're guilty as sin. Have they built enough of a power structure to resist what's about to happen when these shrieking demons are lassoed into custody? These people have been destroying, rotting America from the inside out. Traitors to this nation. Pam Bondi here has a quote shared through Fox News. If you're obstructing justice when you have victims sitting in a courtroom of domestic violence and you're escorting a criminal defendant out a back door, it will not be tolerated, and it's a crime in the United States of America. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to get prosecuted. Virginia Guffrey.
Virginia Giuffre, Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew accuser, dead at 41 by suicide. Is that right? She wouldn't give up her fight, so now she's magically unalive. Virginia Giuffre, Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew accuser, dead at 41 by suicide. Is that right? She wouldn't give up her fight, so now she's magically unalive. Virginia Giuffre.
I thought this was a different clip. Here, let's keep going. Hakeem Jeffrey says, lock up Kyle Rittenhouse and throw away the key. This was from 21. And Napoleon Bonaparte Appreciator says, the people screaming about due process won't give you any when they have power. Don't forget that. The people screaming about due process of Kilmar, they won't give you any when they have power. Lock up Rittenhouse and throw away the key. You know, the guy who defended himself against 3 attacks. Hey, how about this? More arrests happening. What is this? This is a large thing that might have to do with immigration and the Obama doctrine, deep state plan to invade America.
Multi-state marriage fraud operation. Just hours ago, this footage was released capturing people being taken into custody right here in Baltimore.
And captured federal agents arresting 10 foreign nationals who they say came to the Baltimore field office to fraudulently obtain a marriage license. The men all taken into custody during their interviews.
The aliens who tried to defraud the American people yesterday left our office in handcuffs. The message is clear. Do not engage in marriage fraud.
The agency sharing video of the arrest while announcing the takedown of a marriage fraud operation they say has been under investigation for years. Coined Operation Bargain Brides, investigators
Operation Bargain Brides
announced indictments against 4 ringleaders, all U.S. citizens who were taken into custody last month.
Individuals who recruited, enticed, and groomed U.S. citizens, encouraged them to enter into fake relationships and fraudulent marriages, and submitted false representations to USCIS to unlawfully obtain immigration benefits.
Investigators said these 4
tip of the iceberg time. It's happening.
4 ringleaders weren't just grooming U.S. citizens in order to coordinate marriages, rather profiting significantly, charging foreign nationals up to $40,000 for arranged unions and generating upwards of $40 million in illicit proceeds.
Marriage fraud compromises the integrity of our immigration system, it diverts critical resources, and it erodes public trust.
Of a multi-state marriage fraud operation. Just hours ago, this footage was released capturing people being taken into custody right here in.
All right. Maybe this is the first domino. Clickety clacking. Keep your eyes peeled on this. And by the way, let's investigate Ilhan Omar, who allegedly married her brother. Remember that story? Just the facts. And Wise Thomas Paine shares this. Brianna Lyman. The Maryland man hoax is designed to criminalize immigration enforcement. Reading the headlines from the left-wing media, one would think the administration snatched a soccer dad off the streets of Baltimore instead of an MS-13 gang member and human trafficker. By convincing Americans that illegal aliens are indistinguishable from citizens, the left is hoping to delegitimize any attempt to enforce our immigration laws while making Americans feel morally conflicted about their right to do so. The propaganda press's latest manufactured sob story isn't just another hit piece targeting President Trump. It's part of a manufactured strategic campaign to guilt Americans out of supporting immigration enforcement and delegitimize the very concept of national borders. That is very well said. That's why they do all their, their divisive tactics. They just want to make you scared. Yeah, this is the Virginia Guffrey Post saying, people want me quieted. Prince Andrew, Ghislaine Maxwell, Virginia Guffrey, underage. Amy Klobuchar says this is not normal. The administration's arrest of a sitting judge in Wisconsin is a drastic move that threatens the rule of law. Do you buy that? Oh, that's a good question right there. Let's ask the question. Do you agree or disagree? Is it not normal? The administration's arrest of a sitting judge in Wisconsin is a drastic move that threatens the rule of law. Do you agree with that or do you disagree with that? I'm going to disagree with that. What threatens the rule of law is judges who are ushering people out the back door to avoid justice. And the Cleveland Browns have taken Shadur Sanders. What in the world has just happened? The Cleveland Browns have taken Shadur Sanders. The Cleveland Browns were rumored to maybe select Shadur Sanders at number 3. I'm sorry, at number 2. So now, the Browns have selected Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders. They are saying, you know what? We're going to put some talented kids in our room, and we're going to figure it out. We are going to invest heavily into the quarterback position and work with these players in our system. Oh, this is on top of Deshaun Watson's $230 million contract. This is on top of re-signing Joe Flacco. This is on top of trading for Kenny Pickett. There are 5 quarterbacks in Cleveland. They say in quarterbacks, when you have 2, you have none. So it's like you have to have your clear number 1 starter. The Browns took Shadur Sanders. We were wondering why they took Dylan Gabriel over Shadur Sanders. We were wondering why they didn't take Will Howard. Oh my goodness, Cleveland Browns, Shadur Sanders, breaking the internet. Here, let's get some information. Oh, check this out. President Trump, shared by Clay Travis. What is wrong with NFL owners? Are they stupid? Deion Sanders was a great college football player and was even greater in the NFL. He's also a very good coach, streetwise and smart. Therefore, Shadur, his quarterback son, has phenomenal genes and is all set for greatness. He should be picked immediately by a team that wants to win. Good luck, Shadur, and say hello to your wonderful father. Where's the latest? Here, let's hit refresh. See what people are saying about this. This is a big deal. Why is this the latest that I'm getting on X? This is terrible. Here, let me just type Browns. Yeah, Kevin Stefanski in the quarterback room. This is wild. 5th round, pick 144. The Browns take Shedeur Sanders with the 144th overall pick. Wow. Taking 2 quarterbacks. We did the Kirk Cousins RG3 thing. Take 2 quarterbacks. The young man has been humbled. Look at the Browns quarterback room. Like I said, 5 different quarterbacks now. All right, the competition is through the roof. Look how happy he is. I love this time of the year, people. I get so excited. I love the game of football so much. And I love the Cleveland Browns so much. It's a weekend show. I don't know how much I wanted to get into with you anyway. So let's watch the moment Shedeur finds out that he's been drafted. Cameras around. Going to Cleveland. The poor dog is like, are we all dancing? Are we all dancing? Yep, there he is, right there. Sorry, I pointed at the other person there. That's so awesome. Browns have needed a quarterback for a long time, and now we got plenty of talent in the room. And boy, oh boy, did we make a splash, and we didn't overspend to get it. That's awesome. You know, maybe being humbled like this could be the best thing that ever happened. Because it's not like it's just the Browns that passed on him. Everybody passed on him many, many, many times. So, all right. Yeah, that's a huge story, and that's my team. My team basically dominated this draft cycle, I suppose, with the big trade that they made. Okay, let's get back to the news. We're going to buzz through this and move it along here. Mike Benz says in response to Amy Klobuchar, this is not normal. It's a drastic move that threatens the rule of law. He says, you arrested a U.S. president, his lawyers, his accountants, and even his valet, but judges are above the law. Amy? This is a story I saw about Arizona. Now you'll see it.
Okay, this one's a weird one. Trigger warning for some of you. There's a TikTok account called Wiggins World. Family sold all their possessions, moved off grid to the deserts of Arizona, and they found something out in the desert. I'm just gonna let the video roll. Let me know what you guys think about this, and have you guys ever come across something like this? Pretty scary. Take a look.
Well, now I'm recording right to TikTok because shit is getting real now. So we're off north of our property a little bit, and we were looking for places that naturally hold water, and we found this little pond that's north of an arroyo, and this thing is filled with kids' backpacks.
Filled with backpacks.
And there's a mound here. And
there's a bunch of signs
there's more
of
backpacks.
Wildlife activity,
if you dig down,
it's
there's backpacks. There's little kids' backpacks here.
Don't be too loud, Christian.
There are kids' fucking backpacks here. I'm armed, but we found a place out in the middle of the desert north of our property that has bones and boots and
all sorts of shit.
Kids' backpacks. Yeah. This is getting really, really weird. You smell that?
What?
Something smells sweet.
No.
It smells like laundry detergent. You smell that? And there's
Well, it smells that sweet like that out in places out here.
Anyway, watch that clip. It's on our Instagram feed, or go take a look. Watch it yourself. Lord knows what's going on out there and what the deep state's up to. You sort of know. You sort of know. 40 Office star Rainn Wilson is dropping a truth bomb on MSNBC host Stephanie Ruhle after she blamed Americans' distrust in media on Trump and Musk.
50% of Americans don't trust mainstream media. Why is that? How did we get here?
Listen, we are seeing a huge loss in trust of all of our institutions. It's the media, it's medicine, it's banking. It's a huge problem because when you think about democracy and all of these pillars, they need to stand tall. They need to stand strong. And sort of losing that trust is not by accident. It's by design. If you remember when President Trump was running the first time, Steve Bannon once said, the goal is to blow the whole thing up. And so I think that you've got mistakes made or things starting to slip while at the same time there's a concerted effort to destroy the media. Because the media, the news media is, in my opinion, the last line of defense of holding power accountable, right? And you had a bit of a perfect storm, right? President Trump won, and tons of people were shocked or angry or frustrated, and they're tuning out.
40% of Americans don't trust mainstream media.
And at the same time, you have the Elon Musk media machine because they want you to leave traditional media and they want you to go to X, which is a bastion of misinformation.
Yeah. No, it's not a bastion of misinformation. Legacy media is a bastion of misinformation. He doesn't want us to leave mainstream media. We left mainstream media because it's not mainstream.
There is no fact checking. So it's a perfect storm of people saying, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm tuning out, I'm disconnecting. And then you have a force pushing it. But even in the last 2 weeks, what we need to do is just cover what's happening in America, right? We have to cover Democrats trying to figure out what their lane is and how they're going to get back on their feet. And we have to simply cover what this White House is doing. And I think if we do that, right, there's that saying, you know, trust is gained in raindrops and it's lost in buckets. And it's not yes, you're not incorrect that the media has lost trust.
This is where I would push back when I see this kind of.
And at the same time, you have the Elon Musk media machine because they want you to leave traditional media and they want you to go to X, which is a bastion of misinformation where there is no fact checking. So it's a perfect storm of people saying
no fact checking. The X community notes is one of the best things out there. Lies do not last long on X. Legacy media push them for years.
I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm tuning out, I'm disconnecting. And then you have a force pushing it. But even in the last 2 weeks, what we need to do is just cover what's happening in America, right? We have to cover Democrats trying to figure out what their lane is and how they're going to get back on their feet. And we have to simply cover what this White House is doing. And I think if we do that, right, there's that saying, you know, trust is gained in raindrops and it's lost in buckets.
Oh, okay, it's bad.
And it's not
There's a third There we go.
Insight and passion being directed at the current administration, and the lack of this kind of insight and passion being directed at the previous administration, where, again, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about left-leaning news media organizations were kind of like, la, 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 everything's fine. Look, the environment's, look, the economy's great, la, 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 immigration's not that much of a problem. And really being Cleopatra, queen of denial. Thank you. Boom.
I would push back on immigration.
Insight and passion being
Cleopatra, queen of denial. Oh, this was just funny. Yeah, music. That was just a moment of zen there. This is cool. TNAM music.
And I'd hear this and I'd say, what is this, Roland? What are you? And he wasn't that bothered. He wasn't that interested in making it a song, but he just every now and again would play it. And I took the two chords and sequenced them with a little drum beat and a...
Actually, I don't know if I can play this. It's a super cool clip. It's about how they made Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Yeah, it would probably get me a copyright, so I will not. I guess I will not play it. I was going to, but I'll decide against it, I suppose. All right. Let's see. Anything else I want to talk about on here? Let's see. Yeah, we got Sanders. Deion Sanders. People talking about Deion, his boy, Shadur Sanders. All right. Hey, Kenneth. What's up, Kenneth? How are you, sir? Let's go to our X feed and buzz through the last part of the show, the weekend episode. President Trump the Cleveland Browns QB room. Shadur Sanders, Flacco, Gabriel, Pickett, and now they just kind of push Deshaun Watson away. There we go. McNeil's so funny. Donald Trump just landed in Rome, had a good day in talks and meetings with Russia and Ukraine. They are very close to a deal, and the two sides should now meet at very high levels to finish it off. Most of the major points are agreed to. Stop the bloodshed now. We will be wherever is necessary to help facilitate the end to this cruel and senseless war. Thank you, President Trump. Keep pushing, please. All right, scrolling through X. Let me make sure you can. Oh, you're not seeing any of this. Let me. Where is that tab? I'll share this instead. There we go. Can I go side by side? Almost. I'll go like that. So, yep, Shadur Sanders to the Browns. All right, in the 5th round. There he is in Cleveland, everybody. That's a big story, man. 144th pick. We got our second quarterback of the draft. All right. Let's see what else we had on deck. Yeah, of course, this is Pam Bondi explaining what really happened with the Milwaukee judge, Hannah Dugan, that led to her arrest from the FBI. She earned it if what the accusations are true. The Cavaliers are up. We're in the playoffs right now. Cavs are up by 23 in the third with 4.5 left in the third. Okay, Cavs just dominating this series. It's great to see. Cavs hold the best record in the East. And we'll cover it on the Unhappy Hour. So link up with us, find us, follow us. Pop Base saying Luigi Mangione has pled not guilty. Is it pleaded or pled? I thought it was pled. Not guilty to all federal charges and will face trial. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth ended the service of all committee members on DoD advisory committees. That would include the seat held by Susan Rice. Hegseth thanked the members for their work, but said changes are needed to align with the department's new goals and use resources more effectively. Susan Rice was allegedly one of the major contributors, people pulling the strings of the Biden shadow administration. Elon says, good move. There are thousands of committees that take up a lot of time without clear accomplishments. A reset was needed. There's our show yesterday about judicial corruption exposed. Have the arrests finally begun? Plus an NFL draft recap. So check that out. Brian Cates says, remember, the people who know that what Trump plans to do by declaring a wartime emergency and bypassing the corrupt courts to use the military tribunals know what the role Pete Hegseth will play in that. They must get Hegseth now. They got to force Trump to fire him before it's too late. They are really pulling out all the stops. They are going for broke. It will pick up speed every week, a new Hegseth scandal, then every 3 to 4 days. And the mainstream media will loudly demand to know why Trump insists on standing by a Secretary of Defense who is under a cloud and damaged by controversies and ineffective at his job because of all the fake scandals they're throwing at him. Watch it happen. Watch it not work. So keep your eyes peeled on this. That's the Bondi story. James O'Keefe ready to drop a massive bombshell next month. Government officials caught on camera, billions of dollars in corruption exposed. 5 or 6 tapes led to indictments, have them breaking the law, all on camera. Stay tuned with James O'Keefe. Zero Hedge reports a Chinese delegation who was spotted entering the Treasury Department has demanded that photos be deleted per a report. Now that sounds weird. Okay, we did cover this story about Democrats losing House seats. Milwaukee judge covered that. There's our show from yesterday. That's great. Hey, remember when they closed the churches but left open the strip clubs? Hey, remember when crazed governor and mayors and public health bureaucrats summarily ordered businesses to close during COVID? Hey, why did the Supreme Court not get involved when American citizens were being locked in DC's gulag without due process for years, but they're interfering with the deportation of criminal gang members from third world countries under the Constitutional Alien Enemies Act? Okay. That is what I wanted to talk to you about today. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit a reset here. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit reset and I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a Shadur Sanders video clip. If you guys just want to jump right back on, give me like 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes to finish this, hit reset. Maybe it's 10 minutes. I don't know. However many minutes it takes, 5, I'll guess. That is the news that I had for this weekend show. And I will talk about Shadur Sanders and kind of go through what people are saying on Twitter. This is a historic fall. And hey, he's on the Browns now. So we're going to cover that story. Stop sharing. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, that's kind of why I have the sports bar still up. I'm still in the environment watching the TV screens. And we are here, the unhappy hour. Bella's Chance. What is this? Pam Blondie. Yeah, Pam Blondie. That's a good one, Kenneth. Bondi can't seem to get off TV. 2 wacko judges means nothing yet. We continue to call for arrests. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. All right. I am going to hit reset, finish this show, publish it separately, and then I'll come back with a Shadur Sanders and NFL draft recap. Maybe I'll just finish the NFL draft because we did 4.5 hours day 1, 4.5 hours day 2. That's 9 hours of broadcasting. That is a lot, and it's fun, but that's a lot of hours, and there's a lot of projects that I need to work on. So finishing this up, find me in 5 minutes. I'll be right back. I appreciate you. I love you.